Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a comparison video for you. We're taking a look at two Spydercos that are actually really similar, despite the fact that we don't often think of them together. The Shaman, of course, is from the native family and the Manix is not. And so perhaps that's one of the reasons they're in a slightly different price category, depending on, of course, what Manix you get. All the Shamans, I think, have been about the same price. No, there was one sprint run in carbon fiber that was pretty expensive. Anyway, um, these are actually knives. I've been carrying these and using them for the last few days together. And in fact, I've recently, in preparation for this video, been actually carrying them side by side and using them for some of the same tasks. And these are very similar. These are almost to the point that if you like one, I would suggest you'll probably really like the other as well. The last thing I've got to say here is these are not the standard versions. You can probably tell that by looking. This, of course, is the Manix 2 lockback rather than the ball lock. And this is the Shaman in crew wear and micarta. Again, normally this is going to be G10 and S30V, and this guy is going to be either. Now, here's the first point of differentiation right off the bat. There are tons of Manix versions available. This particular one is discontinued, but even aside from that, one, you can still find these out there either on the secondary market or at places where they have old stock left over. But you can get a Manix 2 in G10 with stainless steel liners and a ball lock, or you can get it in FRN with a ball lock, no liners in the lightweight version. In addition to that, you also have a bunch of different steel options that are regular production. So there's a Maximet, there's S110V, and then there's the S30V. And I guess if you wanted to go back far enough, or if you were fortunate enough to find one, you could even find a Manix with a saber grind rather than the flat grind. The Shaman is not quite so varied. Yes, there are some sprint runs out there, but they're expensive and they're hard to find. Well, the Manix, even without sprint runs, there's quite a few options you have available to you. All right, so that's something that that may come up from time to time. Essentially, I'm going to kind of treat this comparison as if we have a standard version of the Manix in G10 with S30V and a G10 Shaman in S30V. Okay, so that's how I'm going to kind of treat these for this video. Size and weight, that's the first thing that we come to that's quite similar, okay? So the size and weight on these guys, 8 inches overall on the Manix. And by the way, the Shaman gets kind of treated like a large knife, and it really isn't. It's fairly hand filling, and it's a little hefty on the blade grind, but it's only 8¼ inches, and it's under 5 ounces. So 8¼ inches, 8.6 ounces. This guy is 8 inches, and the standard version is about 5 ounces. This particular one is 4.4 ounces. Now, you can go to the lightweight and get it for 3 ounces, which is pretty nice if you're going to carry something around all the time. To me, I would take the extra strength and the different feel in hand for those extra couple of ounces. We have, of course, we have similar grip area. Okay, the grip area on this guy is going to be 3 5/8. The grip area over here is going to be 3 3/4. So within 1/8 of an inch of one another, both have a choil. So you get 3 5/8 plus a choil, or you get 3 3/4 plus a choil over here. Closed length again is very similar. Both of these are just under, I would say the Manix is just over 3 5/8. The Shaman is just under 3 3/4. So, I know that would be 11/16 for both, but they're not quite there. This is a little bigger than 11/16. This is a little smaller. So they're within, a fraction of an inch of one another in size. They're not that different in this dimension either, or weight. So in terms of carryability, again, I've pointed out that I've been trying to switch these out a little bit. And, so I've put one in my pocket, walk around a little bit, do some stuff, switch them out, walk around, do some stuff. And in terms of size, weight, and carry, they are almost the same knife. You just really can't notice a significant difference between these two. Both carry quite nicely. Both give you quite a capable cutting tool for the relative size and weight that you're dealing with in your pocket. And so I've got to call that one a tie. There are some very nuanced differences there that some of you may feel strongly about. Perhaps the balance. The Shaman is going to be a little more blade heavy. The Manix is going to be a little more handle heavy. To me, those things are not a big deal. And if you've watched my videos for a while, you know I don't really care about balance all that much because I rarely bring it up. So size, weight, and ease of carry. These guys are a tie. They're way too close to call. Unless you went for the Manix lightweight, then of course it's going to be lighter. So that may be a thing for you, but for me, this is my favorite version of the Manix anyway. So I don't like the feel of in hand of the lightweight. Okay, moving on to the blade. In the standard factory version, both of these are going to be S30V. Both of these are going to be sort of leaf-ish shaped Spyderco blades. Now there's a considerable difference in the way these are ground, but it really only affects the look and how robust the blades are. So the Manix blade is going to be a little finer, and that's because although the blade stock is about the same as the Shaman, it's definitely got a more pronounced, let's see if I can get this thing to focus, a more pronounced distal taper. If we grab the Shaman and I show you the same view, you can see how this carries its blade thickness very much out to the tip. Trying not to cut myself here. If we put them side by side, again, you can probably see the way those differ. The Shaman blade is definitely going to be more robust, and you would want to think, well, that must affect cutting performance, right? This one must not slice as well, but you know what? When you're slicing with these two blades, it's really hard to tell the difference. If you just kind of close your eyes and push through, and in fact, the other day I purposely cut up a couple of apples for the boys, and I switched back and forth through these blades for the different jobs, and they're so close that it's almost indistinguishable which one is the better of the two slicers. Theoretically, the Manix has got to be a little bit better because you are moving less material, but again, it's really close. To me, because they're so close, I'm going to take the extra strength of the Shaman and call it the win here, although I understand why some people may not. And the trade-off, I suppose, would be if you're doing some really fine detailed work, maybe you're cutting open a clamshell package or something, and you want to use that little bit of tip there. Yeah, there's less material here. Whoops, focus. There's less material here, and you'll probably get a little easier time. Come on. Using the Manix for something where you're using that tip to, I don't know, pull out a splinter or something like that. All right, in terms of cutting edge, they're again almost the same. Now, they're very different in terms of how that edge works. You've got some flat and then a belly here on the Shaman, and it's just all belly on the Manix. That only matters in very specific situations, and again, for the average EDC use, it's not significant or worth talking about. But I will say, I'm going to lean toward, since they're so close in cutting performance, I'm going to take the Shaman for the winner because you're getting some extra strength and you're not really sacrificing anything significant in terms of cutting power. All right, moving over to the lock, here we have a little different comparison. Now, for me, the ball lock has never really connected with me. It's a strong lock, it's a fine lock, but it's, you know, all the ones I've had have been super stiff, and you sort of have to do this move where you put the knife in the ball of your hand or in the palm of your hand and pull it back. It's fine, but it's definitely not my favorite lock. This lock back, I get a lot of satisfaction from. It's very stiff. Now, it's not very stiff in terms of releasing it, so this is pretty comfortable, actually. It's very clean, though, and very smooth. And look at that. It's a really positive detent. And when you open it up and it locks in place, it's just so satisfying. Switching over here to the compression lock, of course, there's more of a distinct difference between these two lock types. This is going to be much more fidget friendly, and I would say more fidget friendly than both versions. Okay, the ball lock wasn't that great either. I know it was sort of trying to get close to the axis lock. I don't know. To me, the ball lock was not my favorite thing. I didn't hate it, but it certainly didn't connect with me as much as either one of these locks. So how do they compare? Well, the compression lock is going to be a little more fidget friendly. You know, I can absolutely not Spidey flick this. I'll demonstrate how badly it works, which it just doesn't. I did have a friend over who could Spidey flick this one time, and I don't know how he got that much pressure behind his finger. This, on the other hand, once it releases from the detent, it's very free. Okay, so it's going to even fall a little bit freer than the Manix. In terms of, you know, Actually cutting performance, there's not that much difference. Yes, the compression lock is a little more fidget friendly. I find them both though to be very enjoyable, satisfying locks. And so I can't really call one a distinctive winner. And so I'm going to just call it a tie. These are both effective locks. They're both enjoyable. They're both pretty easy to actuate. And so what are you going to do? Now, I know there's some of you out there who are huge compression lock fans, and I'm a fan of it as well. But I just don't find one of these locks really stands out as being way more satisfying. But I get it if some of you out there say, no, no, the compression lock is the best lock ever. It definitely wins. So I'm not going to try and argue that. If that's your preference, that's your preference. Moving over to the handle. So these handles are a little more different. Of course, in the standard Manix, there's a bunch of jimping that's all around the handle that makes it a little more of a positive grip, especially in a pair of gloves. All right. That's one of the reasons I like the lockback so much. I find this is the one that feels nicest in my hand. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you like the lightweight. Maybe you like the lightweight. To me is my least favorite. The standard in G10 and stainless steel liners is my second favorite. And then this is my favorite feeling in hand. The Shaman is going to be a little more comfortable because of that contoured, in this case, micarta, but normally it would be contoured G10. And that contouring is very comfortable. Now, the one limitation here would be this. This knife, the Manix, feels great in this position where I'm not choking up into the choil there. Okay, so this is really, really nice, and I have no problem using the knife in this configuration. The Shaman, not so much. If I back up here and hold it here, it just doesn't feel right. I need to come up and choke up there and sort of hold this the way I would hold a native. All right. Now, does that mean one is better than the other? No. All I would say is in a backed up grip, the Manix is definitely better. The Shaman, I feel like I'm forced to choke up. And once I do, then yeah, they're both very, very comfortable. So because of the variation that you have, I'm going to give the Manix the win on this one, even though the Shaman does feel a little more comfortable. It doesn't feel as comfortable. It actually feels a little awkward if you back up and don't use the choil, where the Manix absolutely does not. It feels perfect in hand in any grip that you use. All right. So I think both of these are well put together. Both of them are durable. Both of them, the quality is really, really there. So I don't have a big, I'm not going to, there's really not anything further about construction itself to comment on. All right, moving on to my overall thoughts. Both of these are fantastic everyday carry knife options. Both of them can really go above and beyond, and they're well built. They can do a lot of hard work. They're going to feel great in hand while they're doing it. They're easy to carry. Now, the big difference is depending on which Manix version you look at, there's quite a discrepancy in price here. So the Shaman is going to cost you $200, and the Manix, the only Manix I found for $200 is the Maximet lightweight. All the other versions are going to be less than that. There's a bit of variation. I think the blue G10 with the S110V is like 160 or 170. The cheapest ones are going to be around 140. Maybe even a little under that. And of course, if you find a lockback, you can often get it for like $100 or less because they're discontinued. And so a lot of stores are kind of clearing them out. To me, this is actually my favorite version, so I'm kind of sad to see it go. But even when I made the video, a lot of you guys didn't like it, so I'm happy to be a bit of an outlier there. But that's how the price point compares. So you're paying an extra, 50, 40, 40, $50 for a compression lock and a more robust blade. And whether or not that's worth it to you, and I guess for the contoured handle. So that's really what you're getting. You get a contoured handle, you get a more robust blade grind that still cuts really, really well, and you get a compression lock. If that's worth $50 to you, then it absolutely makes sense to go up to the Shaman. And to me, it does, because you get pretty much all the other things about the Manix. It carries the same, it cuts basically just as well. You're getting the same steel. It's just a knife that to me is a little more heavy duty. And, I'm one of those guys who likes the heavy duty stuff. So I would probably lean for my own preferences to the Shaman, although on a given day when I go to grab a knife off the shelf, there's really, I don't really feel like, oh, I'm always going to take the Shaman, so let's get rid of the Manix or something. No, don't feel that strongly about it. In my mind and in my heart, from a subjective standpoint, these are really just a tie. From, a more reasoned standpoint, I do like the thickness of the blade. I do like the compression lock. So perhaps we give the Shaman a slight edge, but these are so, so close. Like they are almost the same knife, despite the fact that they look different. If you just, I did this, I spent about 4 days just using them together at the same time for different jobs and even switching them out halfway through the jobs. I just found them so close that one, I love it both. I love both, and so that's great. There's another knife out there that I really enjoy and can recommend. But to call one better is really, really a tough thing to do. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your comments down below. If you want one of these guys, head over to White Mountain Knives. Obviously, the Crewwear Shaman is going to be hard to get. The Lockback, you'll have to search around for it. Either look for leftovers from somewhere or buy it on the secondary market. But you can find tons of Manixes, and I'm pretty sure Justin does have a Shaman or two in stock, and you can save yourself 10% by using my discount code SHARPSTUFF. That not only helps you, but it helps the channel as well. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.